If you're sick on a fixed income and watching rent prices go up faster than your body can keep up, this video is for you. Most people think van life is just a trendy travel lifestyle for 20-somethings on Instagram. But when you live with chronic health conditions like hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, or fibromyalgia, and you're looking at these terrifying rent prices, a van isn't a vacation vehicle, it's a potential life raft. I know why you clicked on this. You're doing the math, looking at your fixed income versus the cost of housing, and you're terrified. You're asking, can my body actually handle this?
On the road to healing, 1 mile at a time.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Nurse TLC. Welcome to Healing on Wheels. I'm a nurse, van lifer, and I navigate life with a genetic connective tissue disease called EDS that causes POTS and many other chronic issues. We are currently living through a housing crisis that is hitting the chronic illness community and seniors harder than almost anyone else. I speak with people who are choosing between their medications and their rent, and that is a choice nobody should have to make. Today we are evaluating van life strictly as a housing solution. We're going to look at the physical toll on the EDS body, the logistics of hygiene, and the power and temperature risk for POTS and other chronic conditions that may be affected by weather fluctuations. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. I am a nurse, but I am not your nurse. Always consult your own medical team before making drastic lifestyle changes. Now let's get into the video. What are you doing? You checking on mom? Yeah? You checking on me? Am I not doing good? Am I having a problem? Okay, I guess I'm okay. To understand if this is safe for you, we have to talk about energy economics, or as we know it, the spoon theory, and how that changes based on where you park. There's a huge difference between boondocking and having a home base. Let's start over. Okay. I took a break, I put on some lights, and I put on a little lipstick, and now Seiji is having a break and running around the van, so little distracting right now. Anyway, let's get back to the video. I personally have a home base I call Base Camp. It is a small home that has a 30-amp plug-in where I have access to shore power, water, laundry, showers, etc. All right, come on, up. She was waiting for me to give her directions. I personally have a home base I call Base Camp. It is a small home that has a 30-amp plug-in where I have access to shore power, water, laundry, showers, etc. Because I have that hookup, I don't have to lift heavy water jugs every day or worry about my batteries dying. This preserves my spoons for healing. However, I know many people in our community who strictly boondock, which is living off-grid on public land for free. I also boondock a lot. With boondocking, the physical labor is more intense. You are fetching water, emptying tanks manually, setting heaters and your campsite, which requires bending and lifting. When you have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, these activities can be a potential trigger for a flare-up. If you're considering this, you cannot skimp on climate control. You need a reliable heat source like the Wave 3 catalytic heater I have linked above, and you need ventilation. I learned this the hard way. My first year in the van, I thought I could just tough it out with blankets. That was a mistake because extreme cold can cause vasoconstriction, which can also trigger symptoms. The cold triggers my joint pain and makes my muscles lock up, which is a nightmare for my EDS. But if you set up a base camp in an RV park, it can actually be easier on your body than maintaining a large apartment. Living in a smaller space means less to clean. It is very easy to reach my fridge, my bathroom, and my bed, which is helpful on my worst days. I have a video linked above where I did my cleaning routine in the van, so you can get an idea of how that goes. That accessibility is huge. It is basically a studio apartment on wheels. Because it's on wheels, you can also unplug and get out into nature as your health allows. So the first question isn't just can you do van life, yes or no. It is, do you have the physical spoons to boondock, or do you have a budget for a base camp somewhere? Okay, this is the big one for my POTS warriors, dysautonomia and temperature regulation. In a traditional home, you have insulation and central air. In a vehicle, you are essentially living in a metal box. In the summer, it's like an oven. In the winter, it can be like a freezer. Most people think an AC or heater is just for comfort, but when you have dysautonomia, Temperature control is actually healthcare. If I get too hot, my heart rate spikes, my blood pressure drops, and I get dizzy. This is because heat causes blood to rush to the skin to cool it down, leaving less blood for the brain and heart, increasing POTS symptoms. So is it safe? It can be done if 1, you have a budget for a base camp, or 2, you have gear to control your environment, or 3, you have the funds for gas to chase perfect weather. If you cannot afford the gas or setup to keep the van between 60 and 80 degrees, then van life may not be the housing solution for your specific condition. Let's talk about the number one question I get asked, the bathroom. If you have IBS or frequent urination issues common with our conditions, the idea of not having a flush toilet can be terrifying. I get it. Here is the reality. You actually have more access in a van than you think. I have a portable toilet right here in this little bathroom that is just a few feet from my bed, which is here. So on a bad flare day, this is so convenient. There are so many toilet styles, you're bound to find one that works for you. At base camp, I have a shower. However, for showers while I'm traveling, I rely on RV park facilities or truck stops mostly. Others rely on gym memberships. When boondocking and weather permits, I can shower between my back doors right back here. If your condition requires a sterile environment for things like a PICC line dressing change or frequent sterile procedures, van life gets much more complicated. It is not impossible, but keeping a vehicle really clean is harder than keeping a bathroom clean. You have to be realistic about dust and contaminants. Now let's talk about power. If you depend on a CPAP machine like I do, a fridge for medications, or even just keeping your phone charged, power is a safety issue, not a convenience. I run solar, but I also carry a battery dedicated to my CPAP machine, which stored right around here. I need to plan on how I'm going to recharge that battery though. You may need to know how long your medications stay viable in different temperatures. These aren't optional checks, they're part of your healthcare infrastructure. If you lose power in an apartment, it's annoying. If you lose power in a van and your insulin warms up, or your fan stops working during a heat wave, or you don't have enough power to run your CPAP machine, it can be a medical crisis. So getting your batteries filled with either solar or shore power is a daily priority. You need to understand your electrical needs before you move in. Do not guess on this. Now let's talk about healthcare on the road. Most people think van life means driving off into the sunset and never looking back. But when you have a complex medical history, you cannot just abandon your healthcare team. Finding a specialist who understands EDS or POTS can take years, and you do not want to lose them just because you move into a van. So how do you manage appointments? I don't drive all across the country aimlessly. I mostly stay on the West Coast, usually within a few hours drive of my doctors. This gives me the freedom to travel and change my scenery, which helps my mental health. But if I have a sudden flare-up or need an urgent appointment, I can be back at my doctor's office in a timely manner. The bigger trips where I'm gone for a few weeks are planned every 6 months or so and in between appointments. For the most part, I try to stay close to my base camp and only a few hours from my doctors. And then there's the pharmacy game we all know. It is crucial if you rely on controlled substances for pain management or specific compounding medications. You cannot just transfer those prescriptions across state lines easily. Laws vary widely from state to state, so those you may have to pick up monthly. My biggest tip from a nurse who gets it: if at all possible, work with your doctors to get your prescriptions written for a 90-day supply. That's what I've done. Instead of panicking every 30 days about where you will need to be to pick up your meds, you have a 3-month buffer. It turns a monthly crisis into a quarterly errand. If your insurance allows it, this is a game changer for mobile living. Is it safe? It isn't for everyone. If you are currently bedbound 24/7, or if you rely on electricity for life-sustaining equipment like oxygen without massive backup, this might not be the right move. But if you're stable enough to manage your own care and activities of daily living, and you're looking at housing costs you can't afford, RV living with a base camp strategy can be safer than the stress of eviction with nowhere to live. If you're looking to adapt your life for chronic illness and want to figure out the logistics of this lifestyle, make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers to build this little community of healing on wheels, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Let me know in the comments, what is your biggest fear about vehicle residency? Let's talk about it. And if you are sitting here wondering, okay, but can I actually afford the base camp she's talking about? You'll want to stay tuned for my next video where I'm breaking down the exact costs of RV parks versus apartments to see if it actually saves you money. Remember to be kind to your body today. It's the only permanent home you have. The van is just secondary. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Close your eyes. Get some rest.